an interesting way to go about it.
Well, there's your inherent problem again.
Yeah.
Now, from experience, the only way you're going to change that climate is to change the people in it. You're not going to do it by introducing bills. I've been introducing bills every session for the last almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Now, here in the Oregon legislature. It has not changed yet.
This session, and I see where you're going with it, has become more successful for us as an institute than any other session. And why is that? Because the numbers evened up. There's more Republicans in office.
And they're in a gridlock right now.
And they're in a gridlock. And in my particular opinion on it, because I'm not pro-Republican in any sense, I'm not pro-Democrat obviously as well, is that I like the gridlock because less attacks on our freedoms get done. So I would love to see a switching out of numbers. I would like to see more Republicans in the Senate to even up those numbers.
That would be nice if what you just said was true. The gridlock would stop. It doesn't. When it does, somebody caves in and passes.
It's true. But what it does is it forces a conversation.
Because you were talking about the education bills earlier.
Oh, yeah.
That you were instrumental in.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what our esteemed jackass up there had to say about it? It's one extreme the head's extreme jackass.
Oh, Kid Thunder.
Yeah. I don't even like saying Dr. No's name because that's there were 6 education bills, major education bills. He said if one failed, he's going to veto them all.
Oh yeah.
They were pushed to go with the bills, no matter whether they were good or bad.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I'm talking about.
And there's nothing that disappoints me and discourages me more than the political power plays that go on down there. When you do have gridlock, before it was a supermajority of Democrats, and they wouldn't even look at Democrats. They wouldn't even need to go by their office. They wouldn't even need to talk to them. They would just say, hey, screw off. But now they have to have a conversation. Persuasion has to come into the mix with a gridlock. It's a more positive experience.
Yes.
I feel you 100% on it. Every time I leave Salem, I feel like I need a 6-pack. So I understand where you're coming from. Okay? And ultimately, what Cascade wants to do is limit government so none of them have enough power to dictate our lives. And we do that. We do help with that. With the education bills, I think it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So it's still a positive.
That depends on how you want to look at it. Anytime you give in, you lose.
I agree.
How exactly did the legislators respond to your presentation?
You know what? A lot of them took it, I would say, quite positively. Even some Democrats asked some good questions on it. Currently, I don't think that there's enough public uproar about electricity rates yet to create enough momentum to change legislators' behavior down there. We saw it with the business energy tax credit. It was about a year ago that a bunch of Oregonian articles came out, really caused up a stir. Cascade was instrumental in showing some of the flaws in that system, and it created such a stir in Oregon that legislators, they're kind of like rats, like, oh, we got to react quickly, and then they start, reforming the system. I think that we, surprisingly enough, with Pacific Power going up 14.5% or so, you would think that would have drawn enough attention. It hasn't yet. I can see momentum building for this. It's just not there yet.
But have you heard of the frog theory?
Boiling frog, yes. You put them in things, he doesn't notice because
that's what's happening.
Yeah. You're right.
They're doing it in increments where the frog will not jump out of the pan.
It's true, and they've been doing it since forever. Before I was born, that's for sure.
I want to get to this part of this, the jobs, renewable jobs.
Yeah.
If you look at the federal government, you look at the state schools, you look at all these jobs, we're getting one class of people in every one of these jobs. We're getting people, if you shut the bridge down, the OSU would have to shut down. We're getting all these people coming here, taking all of our jobs. They're all kind of alike. They think alike. All these renewable jobs, you're going to hire the same kind of people. You go to the post office, it's the same kind of people. We're losing our jobs to a certain class, type of person. And we have to stand up for ourselves, or we're going to have nothing.
Yeah.
And you have a great presentation. I really appreciate your information. I'd like to support you. And I'd also like to look into the fact that there the bias in the hiring
Yeah, and renewable energy, it's tough because being in the Portland area was, I really need to get into wind turbine construction. And I always joke with them, I say, not even joking, renewable energy is the welfare economy. That's what it is. It's supported by handouts, subsidies, tax credits, the works. It's supported because government exists. And I never really liked to bet on what government, because what government can give can also take it away in that way. And we've seen that with renewable energy. The industry has fluctuated depending upon federal subsidies. When they expire, get reapplied, expire, reinstated, expire, reinstated. And that's really what it is. They saw it in Spain. Spain is kind of the poster child for renewable energy. Obama brings up, Spain's so great. Yes, 18.9% unemployment is fantastic. We should definitely shoot for that. But there was a Spanish economist that came out and he showed that every job that the state, the government, manages to finance in the renewable energy sector destroys 2.2 jobs elsewhere in the economy. So I always joke, it's like, you're adding water to a bucket that has holes at the bottom. It's not going to pull us out of any sort of recession or unemployment streak.
Well, how are they getting those figures about every job it creates, you lose 2 jobs?
They showed exactly how much capital investment is needed to create jobs in the private sector versus the public sector. And they did it for a number of technologies. 2.1 was the average, but solar was like 8.9 jobs. So what you got to think is, for every dollar taken from someone and put into another thing, that dollar would have created another job in another industry. That person would have spent that dollar on a McDonald's hamburger or buying his new car, and that would have created a job elsewhere in the economy, in a more efficient sector of the economy versus an inefficient government-created sector.
Obama and the administration are selling the bulletin board that a lot of people, especially here in Corvallis, they buy green energy, everything, global warming, he's going to sell us all. What is CPI doing to counteract the education that's going in that these people are buying? What are you doing to counteract that and to put out the facts to especially the young people who are so concerned? And they should be, but for the wrong
Yeah. It's a tough battle. I would say, and I didn't bring any of these sheets with me, but we usually measure our impact. And he says, I walked into, surprisingly of all places, Reed College, and saw Milton Friedman speak. I'm surprised Milton Friedman didn't melt in there, when he walked in the door, but he heard him speak, and he walked out a libertarian. All it is planting that seed, that little bit of seed, expressing, when you sit down at the bar or the restaurant and strike up a conversation. Politics shouldn't be not dinner conversation. Politics, political ideology is how we live our life, how we view others in society and our interaction between those. This should be talked about all the time. Your relatives should know, your grandkids should know, and that's the way we do it. Can we measure it? It's tough.
So do you also publish in the Gazette Times here, which could sort of use help in the barometers, the campus?
I need contact information for the Gazette Times. I'm not sure it's on our media list. So before you go grab a card, then shoot me an email so we can get in contact with them. We can start publishing there as well. So.
This is a little bit off of the track, but I haven't heard anything in quite a while about where they are regarding wanting to tear some of the dams out. Do you know?
They're still working on it. I know I was down in, Medford and Grants Pass a few weeks back. And I was talking with some folks down there. They're still moving forward with it. It's a difficult situation. The environmentalists are pushing back on the dams because, obviously salmon issues and such. But oftentimes they ignore the environmental issues of removing those dams and a lot of the sediment and toxic buildup behind the dams that have been there for a long time. And I was talking actually with a scientist in Grants Pass about that very thing. They're going to keep moving forward with it. I would say that the removal of dams in Oregon is not over with yet. So.
There's one group pushing instead of removing the dams and improving the fish ladders, things of that nature, to shut the environmentalists up, because even though with facts, environmentalists will not listen to you because their minds are closed.
Yeah.
My cousin has a master's degree and she's actually an educated idiot. She is not libertarian.
I know this.
not a Democrat. She's just an educated idiot. And she's firmly convinced that Obama is God's gift to the United States. And that kind of tells you where her mind's at. I've tried to talk to her on a reasonable, open-minded basis, and it's impossible. And you're going to run into that at OSU, because I've run into it there. And the Gazette Times is yellow journalism.
Yep.
It's slanted heavily on OSU's input.
You know, I think that ultimately there's some folks that will never listen to reason. Trust me, I know that because I deal with environmentalists on a daily basis. But I think there's also a large amount of folks, I would say on the political right, that know what's right and what's wrong, and maybe just need a little bit more education on some of the facts. And I think there's a huge mushy middle that are just floating, trying to pay their bills, get their taxes in on time, and those are the folks that we really need to target. Some of those far lefties, there's not much you can do about some of those folks. The interesting though, if you guys have ever gone out to the Gorge, I would say visit the Bonneville Dams. It's a really awesome experience. The folks are great. In a real personal story, I was talking with one of the folks and said, you know, what about everybody's concerned about salmon? And the guy kind of chuckled to me. And he said, you know, we just put in this, I don't know how many $1 million, it was like a chute that came out so that the salmon, when they were coming downriver, didn't have to go through the dam. They could take this little stream and be transported a couple miles downriver. And I said, oh, so was there a lot of issues with them coming through the turbines, you know, coming in through there? So what is survivability rate? He said, well, it's about 97% that survived going through. So 97%. If the dam wasn't there, they probably would have had a few eaten by some other bigger fish.
Yeah.
Survivability rate probably would have been similar. And he chuckled, he said, yeah, he said, but they keep working hard. And for someone like me that is in constant battle with environmentalists, not everybody at Cascade is, because some of them are fighting teachers' unions, some of them are fighting public sector unions, I fight the environmentalists. It is I would say, depressing environment, to say the least. They continuously work, and I think one of the reasons why I was hired at Cascade is because I do like to beat my head against the wall, and I will work continuously.
That's why you wear your hair like that?
That's right.
Most of you want to look this.
You got anything else? Okay, well, thank you very much, and I'll ultimately take a bunch of stuff, please. Take it. Okay.